Last week, I was so pissed off. I wanted to make this video last week, but just couldn't do it. Now that I have kind of gathered myself, I'm ready to make this video. And it's a huge failure that I made. And I'm going to show you how this huge failure, 5 things I've learned from it, how it applies to my Amazon business, and how you cannot make these mistakes yourself, and kind of how to correct it. So what happened? So last week, I recently hired a personal trainer. We go back and forth. He gives me everything I need to do. And last week, I did not lose any weight. The week before that, I only lost like 1 to 2 pounds. You gotta be positive. Yeah, I get all that. But like, I was pissed. And one of the biggest reasons I was pissed is because I wasn't doing everything he said to do. I was doing most of it, maybe some of it. I would say I was doing a majority of it. But after having a phone call with him, it all clicked for me. And I was like, wow, like I felt so stupid going back and forth with him and not realizing this myself. And don't worry, this applies to reselling, growing your Amazon business. I got everything here. Let's just get into it. So number 1, he looked at all my logs. We have an app that he uses to track everything I eat, all the workout activities, steps, progress, pictures, all that kind of stuff. And when we were on the phone, he was looking through. He's like, oof, you eat a lot of calories on Saturday. Oof, like Friday wasn't good either. Like, what's going on? And sometimes I'm a normal person, right? Like, this is a stressful time. It's exciting time. You want to celebrate all the time. Your sales are up, like you're finding great inventory, and you're like, it's only one day. And then when it's only one day, that second day, it makes it much easier to do because you're already kind of like cheated a little bit. And he said something to me that I'll always remember. He said, ideally in your head, you have 21 meals. That's how many meals you eat. And if you just cheat on the weekend, if you do 6 divided by 21, that's 28%. So in other words, 28% of the time you are not eating how you should eat. And if you want to make progress, you need to get that to 5 to 10%. He's like, you're just going to stay the same if you're doing the 30%. And I'm just like, that's insane. And I also want to flip that around and say, you know what? 70% of the time, you're doing what you're supposed to do. That sucks. You're like at 70% of the time, like you're average. So that really clicked for me. And how does this apply to reselling? So when you're sourcing, if you set let's just say a goal to source 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, that's 10 total hours. So if you skip 2 days, you're only doing what you're supposed to do 60% of the time. And I think this happens to a lot of people. It's like, well, like I said I was going to source, 2 hours a day. I can only do like 3 days. Well, yeah, you only did 60% of what 40% of the time you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So always look at that. If you want to find, 2 Asens a day, right? And for a total of 10 a week, same principle applies, right? You didn't just not find 2 Asens. You screwed up like 20% of the time. You didn't find Asens 20% of the time. And that's a big number. So just keep that in mind. Number 2, tracking. You have to have tracking in place for your business. How many days do you want to source? How many hours do you want to source? How many Asens do you want to find? How much money do you want to spend? You have to know all this and measure against it. I did a really bad job of this in the beginning. I just really had a spend goal. I wasn't like, oh yeah, spend as much time as you want or as little as time. Don't have an Asen number. I almost think the Asen number, in my opinion, is more important than kind of a spend goal, because finding Asens is the name of the game. If you spend 10 hours sourcing and don't find anything, that doesn't help you. So having a goal to find I try to find at least 2 to 3 new Asens a day. And I'm always replenishing the ones that make sense, but you're finding 2 to 3 new ones a day, you'll be fine. And it gives you a way to look back. When you're looking, I was very easily to look back at my actions, MyFitnessPal, the app, and be like, yeah, you didn't get 10,000 steps every day like they said. You did it for 5 days, but not 7. You know, without data, you don't know that information. And there's so many great tools, Inventory Lab, Seller Board, so many good things that you could use to track, or just a Google Sheet. Number 3, excuses don't matter. My trainer did not care that this is the busiest season for me. He's like, it's totally doable. This guy is in the same boat. He has a full-time job. He's managing like, I don't know, 10 to 20 clients. This guy is just as busy, if not more busy than I am. And he's still going to the gym 2 hours a day, getting done what he needs to get done. So for me, it was just like, it's not like, oh, it's the busy time, or, oh, it's time to sell. He's like, no, if you want to make progress, and he was very clear, if you want to make progress, this is what you need to do. It wasn't like, like you probably could make progress. Like, no, you have to do these things. And if you don't do them, you're not going to get the results you want. And that's the exact same thing in reselling. I've been calling this thing a couple of times. Like, I feel like a lot of people think Amazon is this like magical multiplier where like you could spend $10,000 and magically somehow you do like 50,000 in sales. It does not work like that. If you want to do 50,000 in sales, you have to spend between $20,000 and $25,000. There's really no way around that unless you're doing something crazy, like liquidation or something, which I do not recommend. I'm not going to get into that, but that is the gist of it. If you're doing online arbitrage and want to sell about 50K, you're going to need to spend at least 20 to 25K. And if you do not do that, you're not going to hit your number. And that is why. Number 4. One of the worst things about this for me that hit me so hard is I have every single thing I need to hit my goals. I have someone I could text pretty much 24/7 with any questions I have about workouts, food, what should I be eating, what should I not be eating, hey, I'm at this restaurant, what should I eat? I have that access. I have access to an entire app of like every workout under the sun. He sends me every day a checklist of things I need to do every day, and what calories, what proteins, everything I need to hit. And if I don't do that, that is on me. And that is probably the most painful part of this. I had everything that I needed and I still did not hit the goal. And that leads me into the next thing. And this is probably the most important takeaway for me. And I've learned this from Layla Hormozi. She talked about, be angry with yourself and, let in negatives help you. Like, for me, if I was like, oh, well, like next week I'm going to get together, I'm going to do everything he said, yada, yada, yada. I wouldn't have been mad. I was literally pissed for 2 days straight just because I'm working so hard. I'm going to the gym for at least an hour and a half a day, lifting, doing cardio, doing all the stuff that you need to do. And you're doing these stupid little things that's costing you, weight loss or muscle gain or stuff like that. You're doing the hardest part and you're not getting the results. So when I kind of had that day when I didn't lose anything, my first initial reaction was like, oh, like, what can I blame? And it's myself. So you have to look yourself in the mirror. If you're not where you're at, like, it's you. Like, you could, maybe there's stuff outside of your control or whatever, but if something bad happens, like, you have the right and you can control how you react to that bad thing. So it is totally on you to fix it. And I use these negative emotions, being so mad. I was like, I never want to feel like this again. Like, I have everything. I paid somebody a ton of money to stay on top of me, to give me everything I need, and you didn't do it? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? So you have to be hard on yourself. for me, that works. Being positive in a situation like this, like, oh yeah, like next week you're gonna crush it. Like, he was just very clear. He's like, listen, if you want to get results, this is what you have to do. It's not gonna cut it doing, you know, only 70% here. You have to commit fully to get the results if that's what you want. So use negative emotions to your, you know, to like propel you. If you buy Asens that lose money, be like, I never want to be in this situation again. You probably will be, but there is a chance that if you learn from your mistake, you will be in that situation less. I know I am. When I first started, I was losing a ton of money on Asens, but now, you know, it's very rare that I lose money on an Asen or you lose a lot of money on an Asen. Usually it's a break even or lose $20, $30. But that came from being negative or like looking at my business, like apparel. I am so sick of returns. I am sick of the prices tanking. I'm sick of getting Kohl's cash taken away. I'm just sick of it. And I'm like, I'm not going to feel that way again. So what did I do? I totally ripped my business apart. Had really crappy sales for like 3 or 4 months and rebuilt the whole thing. And now I'm in a great position. I just did $74,000 last month, probably gonna get close to 90 this month, definitely gonna have over 100K in December. And like, that just wouldn't have happened if I wasn't like, I am sick of this, I am tired of feeling like this. And it was all, it wasn't like, oh, like I want to do 100K in sales. Not so, it was like, no, like I don't want to be here. So really tap into that. I know this video is a little ranty, but that is what I have for you guys. I hope you look yourself in the mirror if you're not where you want to be, or even if you are where you want to be but want to take it further, look at what you're not doing. Do not look at what you are doing currently, because that is not going to help you. If you're doing what you're doing and not getting what you want, you need to do something different or put in more work or spend more money or do more. And I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe. Later.